I did not believe in cursed places. I believed in poverty, in neglect, in human cruelty, but not in land that remembers. I was wrong. The village does not appear on maps anymore. It once had a name, but the road sign rotted away, and the people in the nearest town refused to say it aloud. When I asked about it, the old shopkeeper's fingers trembled so violently he dropped his tea glass. "You should not go there," he whispered. "It still breathes." I laughed. I should not have laughed. The road begins as normal asphalt, cracked, sun-faded, ordinary. But after 10 kilometers, something changes. The trees grow closer. Their branches lean inward, knitting together like crooked fingers trying to stitch the sky shut. The air becomes heavy. Not humid. Heavy. As if something unseen is pressing down on your shoulders. I remember the exact moment my phone lost signal. The screen blinked once, then empty bars. Silence. No internet. No service. Just the soft hum of my car engine and the whisper of wind that did not feel like wind. It felt like breathing. Slow. Patient. Inhale. Exhale. I told myself it was imagination. The first sign of the village was not a building. It was a swing. A rusted, children's swing hanging from a massive banyan tree beside the road. It was moving, back and forth, back and forth. There was no wind. I stopped the car. That was my second mistake. The metal chains groaned softly as the swing continued its rhythm. Not random, not chaotic, measured, as if someone invisible sat upon it, pushing gently with phantom feet. I stepped out. The air smelled like wet soil and something faintly metallic, like old blood washed many times by rain. "Hello?" I called. The swing stopped instantly. Not slowed. Stopped, as if something heard me, as if something was listening. The silence afterward was not normal silence. It was thick, oppressive. The kind of silence you feel inside your skull, rather than your ears. Then I heard it. A whisper, not from ahead, not from behind, from everywhere. "You came." The voice was not loud, but it was inside my head. I spun around, heart slamming against my ribs. There was no one. The trees stood motionless. The swing hung still. The road behind me looked longer than before. That was when I noticed something impossible. The road ahead was gone. Where asphalt had stretched forward seconds earlier, there was now only dirt and roots, as though the forest had swallowed the pavement whole. I blinked. It remained. Panic tastes metallic. I know that now. I rushed back into my car and started the engine. The sound felt too loud, like screaming in a cathedral. I reversed, or tried to. The road behind me had changed too. It curved where it had once been straight. The trees were closer, closer than they had been. The forest was narrowing the path. I pressed the accelerator. The car moved, but not smoothly. The tires struggled against loose gravel that had not been there before. That was when I saw the first house. It stood to my left, half hidden behind trees. Its windows were open, all of them, and they were dark. Not shadow dark, depth dark, like holes carved into the world. The front door was slightly ajar. I do not remember deciding to step out of the car again, but I did. The air felt colder now. The house seemed tilted. Not physically, but wrong, as though reality bent slightly around it. I approached the door. It creaked open further without my touch. Inside, the walls were covered in handprints, hundreds of them, small, large, layered over one another, some smeared downward, as if whoever left them had been dragged. The metallic smell was stronger here. My chest tightened. "Leave," something whispered near my ear. I turned violently. No one. Then I noticed the floor. The wooden planks were not flat. They rose and fell gently, like a chest. Breathing. Inhale. The boards lifted slightly. Exhale. They lowered. The house was breathing. Stumbled backward. The walls creaked in response, not randomly, reactively, as if they were aware of me. A sound came from upstairs, a slow dragging noise, something being pulled across wood, deliberate, unhurried. I should have run then. Instead, I looked up and I saw feet, bare feet, standing at the top of the staircase. They were pale. Too pale. The skin looked stretched thin over bone. They did not move. They did not twitch. They simply stood there, watching, even though there was no body visible. Above the knees, just darkness. A drop of something dark fell from above. It landed on the wooden floor. It was warm. The breathing of the house quickened. Inhale, exhale, faster. The whisper returned. You shouldn't have laughed. My heart stopped. For one impossible second. How did it know that? The feet began descending the stairs. One step. Slow. Another. The sound of bone cracking softly with each movement. But the upper body remained swallowed in shadow, as if the darkness itself was attached. I could not breathe. I could not move. The temperature dropped violently. My breath fogged in the air. The feet reached the middle of the staircase, and then the head emerged from shadow, but it was not a face. It was smooth skin. No eyes, no mouth, no nose, just stretched flesh. Except for one thing. A single, vertical slit slowly opening in the center. Not a mouth, not an eye. Something else. Something not meant to be seen. The house inhaled sharply, and all the handprints on the wall began to move. They dragged downward, as if fresh, as if made again, and every whisper in the walls said the same thing. You are staying. End of part 1. The feet did not make normal footsteps. They pressed into the wood as if the floor were soft clay. Each step left an imprint, not of skin, but of something thinner, like bones wrapped in damp paper. I could not move. My body refused commands. The slit in its face widened, slowly, vertically, and inside the opening, there were no teeth, no tongue, just darkness that shifted, like something alive behind it. The house inhaled again, this time deeper. The walls expanded slightly, the handprints dragged lower, and I felt something inside my head. Not a voice, not a whisper. A rearranging, like invisible fingers flipping through pages in my memory. My childhood bedroom flashed in my mind. My mother calling my name. The day I laughed at the old shopkeeper, the swing moving in the windless air. It was searching. The thing tilted its head. The slit pulsed once, and then I heard my own voice. Hello, it said, perfectly, exactly how I had spoken it outside. My throat tightened. It stepped down another stair. The sound of bone cracking echoed in the hallway. I don't believe in cursed places, it said. My words, my tone, but hollow, as if spoken from inside a cave. Cold spread down my spine. It wasn't repeating me. It was trying on my thoughts, testing them. The slit widened more. The darkness inside rippled. And suddenly, I remembered something I had never experienced. I saw myself walking into this village before. Weeks ago, standing in this same house, looking up at those same stairs. But that never happened. I know it never happened. Yet the memory felt detailed, specific, real. The smell of dust, the pressure in my chest, the exact angle of light through the broken window. The creature stopped moving, as if satisfied. You have been here, it said. My own voice again. No, I whispered, but my whisper sounded uncertain. The floor beneath me lifted in a slow inhale. The house was excited. That is the only word that fits. Excited. The creature reached the bottom of the stairs. Now it stood only 5 steps away. Its skin was not pale, it was translucent. I could see faint movements under it. Like worms beneath thin soil, the slit opened wider, and inside it, I saw the swing, the rusted swing, moving back and forth. Inside its face. That was impossible. That was wrong. The swing creaked from within the darkness of its slit mouth. Back and forth, my ears began ringing. "You laughed," it said softly. The handprints on the walls began pressing inward, as if hundreds of invisible hands were pushing from the other side, trying to enter, trying to reach me. The creature lifted one long, thin arm. The fingers were too many, too jointed. They bent in directions fingers should not bend, and it reached toward my forehead. I tried to step back, but the floor dipped downward. The house exhaled sharply. My knees buckled. Its fingers touched my skin. Cold. Not like ice. Like absence. Like the place warmth goes when it dies. The ringing in my ears stopped instantly, and I was somewhere else. I was standing outside the village, watching myself drive toward it. From above. Like a bird. No, not a bird. Something hanging from a tree branch. Something watching. I saw my car stop near the swing. I saw myself step out. I saw the swing freeze. But there was something else there. Behind the tree. Tall, unmoving. Watching me. Watching myself. It had always been there. Even before I noticed the swing. Even before I stopped the car. It had been waiting. The vision snapped away. I was back in the hallway. The creature's fingers still pressed against my forehead. "You were invited," it said. Its voice layered now. Mine. And something deeper beneath it. Something ancient. The house began breathing faster. The walls pulsed. The handprints climbed upward again, dragging fresh streaks down the wood. I felt another memory shift. This time, the shopkeeper. But he wasn't afraid when I spoke to him. He was relieved that I had chosen to go, as if I had taken something from him, something that now belonged to me. The creature leaned closer, its slit nearly touching my face. Inside the darkness, the swing stopped moving, and something stepped off it. Something shaped like me, same height, same build, head tilted slightly, smiling, but I do not remember smiling. "You will stay," the creature whispered, and suddenly, the front door slammed shut behind me. The windows sealed with a violent crack. The air thickened, harder to breathe. The house inhaled and did not exhale. The pressure in the room increased. My vision blurred. The creature's hand pressed harder against my forehead, and I felt something pull, not physically, mentally, like a thread being drawn from my skull. I screamed. But no sound came out. The thing inside its face, the version of me, began walking toward the edge of the darkness, toward the opening, toward escape. The creature was not here to kill me. It was here to replace me. The realization hit like falling glass. It does not trap bodies. It traps identities. It wears them. It sends them back. And the real ones stay here. Inside the breathing walls. Inside the handprints. Inside the swing. My knees hit the floor. The house finally exhaled. Slow. Satisfied. The creature leaned close enough that the slit brushed my cheek. And I heard my own voice one last time. Perfect. Calm. Controlled. "I'll be home soon." Darkness swallowed my vision, but I could still hear it. Footsteps walking away from me, toward the door opening, car engine starting, driving away, and somewhere in the forest, a swing beginning to move again, back and forth, back and forth. I did not wake up. I became aware. There is a difference. Waking implies sleep. I had not slept. I had been folded, pressed thin between something living and something that remembers being alive. At first, there was only darkness, not empty darkness, dense darkness, like soil packed tightly around a coffin. Except I could breathe. That was the worst part. I could breathe, slow, inhale, exhale. But the breath was not mine. It moved through me the way wind moves through hollow wood. I tried to move my hands. I could not feel them. I tried to open my eyes. I did not have eyes. Panic does not feel the same when you no longer possess a body. It becomes abstract. A vibration. a rapid trembling inside whatever remains of you. Then I heard it. Scratching. From every direction. Soft at first. Then layered. Hundreds of faint scratches, like nails against wood, like fingertips searching for cracks. The handprints. They were not on the walls. They were inside them, and I was inside with them. I could feel them now, not as shapes, but as presences, each one humming faintly, each one aware. They were not dead. They were stored. The village does not kill, it preserves. It keeps what it takes. I tried to scream. Instead, I felt a ripple pass through the walls. The entire house inhaled sharply. The scratching stopped, and something listened. Not from outside, from within. Deep. Under the foundation. Under the soil. Under the roots of the trees. The true breath. The original breath. The village. It was not a collection of houses. Not abandoned buildings. It was a single organism wearing architecture as camouflage, and I was now inside its lungs. That understanding arrived gently, almost kindly, like a teacher explaining something obvious. You are not trapped in a house. You are inside a body. The scratching resumed. But closer now, the presences pressed against me. Curious. Testing. I felt fragments of their memories brush against what was left of mine. A child running, a woman praying, a man digging at the road with bare hands, a mother holding a door shut while something knocked politely from the other side. They had all come here, some invited, some desperate, some laughing. The village prefers those who do not believe. Skepticism tastes sweeter, easier to mold. I felt a shift above, a door opening, footsteps entering, calm, measured. My footsteps. The replacement had returned. I felt him walk through the hallway, felt the walls tighten slightly around his presence. The village recognizes its own work. The footsteps paused in the center of the room. Then, I'm home. My voice. Perfect, controlled, empty. The scratching around me grew louder, agitated, as if the others inside the walls understood what that meant. The replacement was feeding it. Every word spoken outside, every interaction, every life lived in my shape. All of it would return here. Memories harvested, emotions distilled. The village does not merely trap identities, it farms them. I felt the replacement sit down, felt him breathe, felt him close his eyes, and then the connection opened. Suddenly I could see, not through eyes, through him, through my stolen face. He was in my apartment, in my chair, in my life. The lighting was the same, the dust on the shelf, the small crack in the wall I always meant to fix. He moved naturally, perfectly mimicking habits. He picked up my phone, unlocked it without hesitation. He knew the code. Of course he did. He had worn my thoughts before wearing my skin. Messages, notifications, a missed call from my sister. He tilted his head slightly. Learning, absorbing. He pressed call back. My heart, or whatever replaced it, vibrated violently. She answered. Hey, are you okay? You sound weird in your last message. Weird. So there was a flaw, a small one. The replacement smiled. I'm fine, he said calmly. Too calmly. A pause. Are you sure? She asked. Silence. Not from him, from me. Inside the walls. I pushed, with everything that remained of me. I do not know how. But I pushed. The scratching around me intensified. The house inhaled deeply, and I forced a fracture, just a crack, a hairline split in the connection. My sister's voice echoed strangely, as if underwater. Then she whispered, Why does it sound like wind behind you? The replacement froze. The village tightened around me violently. Pressure built. Punishment. The scratching turned frantic. The connection snapped shut. Darkness again. Thick, suffocating. The village exhaled slowly, disappointed. I understood then. Resistance hurts it, not physically. But structurally, it depends on seamless replacement, no suspicion, no fractures. And I had caused one. The pressure around me increased, compressing, folding, reducing me further. You are not allowed to interfere. The message came without words. I felt myself thinning, stretching across the inner walls like wet paint. The other presences pulled away. Afraid. They had tried before. They had failed before. That was when I noticed something new. A gap. Far beneath the foundation, past the roots, past the soil, a hollow place the village did not control. A silence deeper than its breath. Old, ancient, forgotten. The village was not the first thing here. It had grown around something else, something older, and that thing was awake. The breath of the village faltered slightly. Just once. A stutter. The scratching stopped entirely. Even the trapped presences went still. Fear. Not mine. The village's. The hollow below shifted, slowly, like an eye opening in the dark earth. And for the first time, the village inhaled sharply, not in hunger, but in alarm. The village had never hesitated before. Its breath had always been steady, confident, predatory. But now, it faltered, a shallow inhale, a delayed exhale, like a creature pretending not to be afraid. The hollow beneath the soil widened, not physically, not in any way that could be measured, but perceptually. The way darkness feels deeper when you know something is inside it. I felt it before I understood it. A gravity, not pulling my body, pulling my awareness. Something older than wood, older than roots, older than the idea of villages. The thing beneath did not breathe. It absorbed. The difference is important. Breathing implies rhythm. Absorption implies inevitability. The village tightened around me, compressing what remained of my identity thinner across its inner walls, hiding me, shielding itself, like an animal curling around its organs. The scratching presences around me trembled. They knew this presence, not personally, instinctively. A memory older than memory. The replacement, wearing my face, was still in my apartment. Still moving, still speaking. But the connection between us flickered now, distorted, as if interference crawled up through the earth and into the signal. He paused mid-step, tilted his head, listening, not to my sister, not to the world outside, but downward, through the soles of his borrowed feet, into the ground. A low sound began. Not loud, not dramatic, just a vibration, like distant thunder that never arrives. The hollow beneath the village shifted again, and I understood. The village was not the predator. It was a parasite. It had attached itself to something far larger, something sleeping, and now, that thing was stirring. The floorboards above me creaked violently. The house exhaled in a sudden rush. The walls rippled. The trapped presences screamed without sound. And then, the first crack split through the foundation. Not upward, downward, as if something below had pressed a finger gently into the earth and the soil had fractured under its curiosity. The village inhaled sharply, but nothing returned. Its breath was being taken, stolen, consumed. The hollow widened further, and I saw it, not with eyes, with comprehension, a vast curvature in the dark, not a face, not a body, a surface, smooth, black, endless. Then it opened, not horizontally, not vertically, dimensionally, a seam unzipping reality beneath the soil. And within that seam, absence, not darkness. Darkness still contains space. This contained none. It was the concept of removal, the idea of being erased. The village panicked. Its breath became erratic. The walls convulsed. The handprints tore themselves, loose from the wood, peeling inward toward me as if seeking protection. But I understood now. They were not trying to hide. They were trying to climb, to escape upward. Through me. Through what remained of my identity, because I was connected to the outside world. The parasite village needed hosts, but the thing beneath did not need hosts. It needed nothing. It simply unmade. The replacement in my apartment suddenly staggered, dropped my phone, clutched his chest. He felt it too. The ground beneath him trembled faintly. Not enough for others to notice. Only enough for something wearing stolen awareness. He walked to the window, looked down at the street. His reflection stared back, but it was not synchronized. The reflection blinked first. The reflection smiled wider than he did. The connection between us snapped open again, violently, and I was inside him. Not fully, not control, but presence. I saw through my own eyes, felt air in lungs that were not mine. He whispered softly, "What are you?" But the question was not for me. The vibration intensified. Back in the village, the seam beneath the soil tore wider. The parasite structures, houses, walls, beams, began collapsing inward, not falling, sinking, pulled toward the opening like sand into a drain. The village tried to anchor itself. Roots dug deeper. Wood twisted. But the thing beneath did not attack. It simply expanded. Reality thinned. The parasite was being peeled off its host, and we, all of us trapped inside it, were collateral. The presences around me began sliding downward, screaming silently as they were drawn toward the seam. I felt the pull on myself. A thinning becoming thinner, identity unraveling. The village attempted one final act of survival. It pushed everything upward, all stored memories, all stolen identities, all trapped consciousness. It forced us toward the surface, toward escape, toward release. But it was too late. The seam opened fully, and I glimpsed the totality of what lived beneath. It was not alive in any biological sense. It was a boundary, a threshold, the place where existence ends and something else begins. The village had grown above it like mold on a sealed door. Feeding on travelers, avoiding the door, ignoring what waited beneath, but doors do not stay closed forever. The parasite village screamed, and then it was gone, not destroyed, not shattered, removed, like chalk wiped from a board. The houses, the walls, the handprints, the breath, gone, and we, the trapped, fell, not downward, outward, into the seam, into the absence. The replacement in my apartment collapsed to his knees. His skin flickered, translucent. The slit appeared faintly across his face, opening, widening. He looked at his reflection again. But there was nothing reflected back, only a depthless void. He reached toward the glass, and his hand passed through it. Not breaking it, passing through it. As if the reflection had become more real than he was. The ground beneath him dissolved, silently, without spectacle. He fell into the same seam opening miles away, and I, whatever I was, felt myself stretch across that threshold. Being pulled through a place not meant for thought, not meant for memory, not meant for identity, and just before I was completely erased, I understood something final. The village was never the horror. It was a warning, a thin membrane placed above something that should never be uncovered. It fed on travelers to stay strong, to remain thick, to keep the seam closed, and by destroying it, by resisting, by fracturing its replacement, I had helped weaken the seal. The absence does not breathe, it does not farm, it does not replace. It ends. The last thing I felt was not fear, not pain, not regret. It was subtraction, and somewhere far above, on a quiet road where a rusted swing once moved in windless air, there is now nothing, no trees, no soil, no village, just a perfectly circular patch of ground where even sound refuses to remain. If you stand there long enough, you might feel it, not breathing, not watching, just waiting for the concept of you to loosen, and when it does, you will not be taken, you will be unmade.